So do you guys remember the Super Scope for the Super Nintendo? This thing came out in 1992 and was basically the Super Nintendo light gun equivalent to the NES Zapper, the gun that everybody got with their Nintendo. Well, this was the 16-bit version, kind of to compete with the Sega Genesis Menacer. And the way this thing worked, had a little sensor box that you plugged in directly to your Super Nintendo with a cable. The Super Scope itself was wireless, took 6 AA batteries. You held the thing by the grip right here, which had a button on it, but you can also rest it on your shoulder right here. Look down the sights. You also had your buttons on top, which were fire, pause, and your on-off button. And if you look down the sights, you also had a little crosshair target right here. But the thing with the Super Scope is that it never really took off. I mean, there were only 12 games, believe it or not, that was released for the Super Scope. So this pile of games right here represents half of the games that were made for the Super Scope. Of those 12 games, only 6 of them actually required the Super Scope to play. So there were 12 games, 6 of them you needed the Super Scope, the other 6 you could use the Super Scope if you had one. And one of the 6 games that required it was the pack-in game Super Scope 6, which basically was a glorified tutorial. I mean, it had games on it, but it was basically to teach you how to use the Super Scope and the functions of it and things like that. I remember it being an awesome looking accessory. I mean, they had it all through Nintendo Power. And believe it or not, the Super Scope was used in the live action Mario Brothers movie from 1993.
Give me that Evo gun!
There was a little bit of controversy surrounding the Super Scope because in 1993, there was an actual Senate hearing in the United States on video games, and the Super Scope was presented as evidence suggesting that video games are promoting violence amongst children. But it worked just the same as the NES Zapper. It was a light gun. Let me know in the comments, did you have one of these growing up? Did you know anybody that had one? Did you have any of the few games that you could actually use this thing for? This thing right here, I don't think is quite as memorable as the NES Zapper, which of course, Duck Hunt and games like that are famous. But a lot of the games that were released for the Super Scope weren't really that well known. I mean, I think the coolest one would probably be Terminator 2, the arcade game. But a lot of the other games, Yoshi's Safari, games like that, weren't really that exciting. But let me know in the comments if you had one of these things and what you think of it.